every time I began to try to write the poem and make things rhyme, it just didn't come out right. So instead, I decided to speak from the heart. And before I get started, I really would love for, because we're going to do it at the end as well, I want you to repeat after me with everything that you have inside of you. I didn't feel it. I still believe. I still believe. One thing that has always reigned true since I was a little boy was my unwavering faith. My grandmother always told me as a kid that I was a kid that believed. One of my earliest memories as a 6-year-old kid was being trapped in my neighbor's house. Mr. Keith, a middle-aged white man, locked my brother and I inside. He asked me to shoot my brother in the back. I didn't. So Mr. Keith proceeded to shoot my 8-year-old brother in his back. And at 6 years old, I carried my older brother down 2 flights of stairs because I believed I could save his life. When my mom, who was a 17-year crack addict, would disappear for days at a time, my siblings and I would cry and wish that my mother would come back. But one day, I got on my knees in my grandmother's beat up white, beautiful Lincoln with the navy blue door. And I prayed and I cried. And I prayed and I cried for my mother to come home and never leave again. 20 years later, she's been clean and haven't left since, all because I believe. And you may be thinking and asking yourself today, what does this have to do with today's event? We are living in what would appear to be a broken and a shattered time right now. We have unarmed black men being haunted and killed in the street. We have mothers painfully saying goodbye to their sons and children saying goodbye to their fathers. We're living in a time where everything on the TV screen is a reminder. It's a reminder of how it's not safe for myself or my 5-year-old son to simply exist. And frankly, I'm scared. I'm terrified. I pray daily for my brothers who are often victimized as criminals and thugs. But in spite of it all, I stand before you all today with a vision to move forward. A vision that Dr. King could look down upon and say to himself that I too believe in a dream that he shared once before. We are at a crossroads in America, but I tell you what, I still believe. I still believe because when I take my 5-year-old son to the park, as he plays with kids of different colors and backgrounds, the color of that kid's skin does not matter. I still believe in Dr. King's dream because unlike in times before, we have many of our white brothers and sisters fighting alongside black Americans. In my short 31 years of living, I've never in my life seen so much transracial support. And this is why I still believe. And I know it seems like we're down and out, but we have been here before. And I still believe that once again we can rise up like a phoenix from the ashes of racism and division. I believe that we can fix this because I stand in front of a classroom of 30 students every single day. Students full of hope and empathy and love and passion. And I refuse to tell them that this is the America that they will inherit. Early in my 20s, I used to feel hopeless. I felt like black people were fighting all alone. But there's a paradigm shift that is happening. It's happening right here today in York. There's a renewed sense of faith and belief. People of all colors and races and backgrounds are joining in solidarity and saying, I still believe. The vision I have is this fundamental belief That when Jesus died on that cross and got back up 3 days later, he did it for all people, including people that look like me. I still believe in the resurrected power of that cross to plant seeds of justice and equality into our children. Seeds of hope and compassion that will grow into vibrant trees of unity and justice for all. See, I stand before you today, locked in virtual and spiritual arms with people all across this world, asking the question, do you still believe in justice? Do you still believe in peace? Do you still believe in love? Do you still believe, like Martin Luther King said, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere? Because if you do, I ask that you all stand up if you can and repeat after me. I still believe. I still believe. One more time. I still believe in justice, love, and peace for everyone, including people who look like me. Thank you. And next up we have Reverend Emily.